Hi, welcome to another episode of Creating Cultures that Outperform. I'm Frank Wander, and I'm here with my co-host Terry Mays. Today, we're going to be covering how wellness impacts productivity. And this is super important because companies that are able to get the best out of their human infrastructure, the ones that are going to dominate work in this century. Everything comes down to how people perform. And before we really get rolling into that, just a couple of quick introductions. I said I'm Frank Warner. I'm the founder of PeopleProductive. We help companies create cultures outperform by using the time, talent, and energy of their people most effectively. That means we help leaders build these competencies to create environments where that happens. And Tara, quick intro.
Hello, I'm Terry Mays. I'm a certified culture engineer with emphasis on helping companies bring out the best in their people.
The whole notion of wellness impacting human performance, you could ask the question, how does wellness impact human performance? But the real question is, how does wellness not impact human performance? Every part of human performance in the workplace is impacted. We're going into a series of episodes. We're going to be covering different aspects of how wellness impacts human performance. And you can see this very, very broadly in the workplace. Wellness impacts a person's cognitive ability to think. It impacts their creativity. It impacts their vibe in the workplace, which in fact is contagious. It impacts everything. And then there are a set of things that create wellness that if any of those are suboptimized, they really have a significant impact on how that individual is going to perform and contribute in the workplace. Right, Tara?
That's right. People, you remember this show is all about creating cultures that outperform. And so those cultures have to include creating an environment where people feel well. You want to make sure that people aren't in sick workplaces, not just their own physical sickness, but sickness in the culture. So you want to make sure we're going to be focusing more on the person, the individual person's well being, but as a leader, you have to really take that into consideration and make sure that your culture is not sick and that your people are not sick. Because when people are in a not well state, they're not thinking very clearly, they take more sick days off, they're just not at their best. And so, what you want to do is make sure that you're sensitive to that. If you see a person that's taking a lot of days off, they're late coming in, they're leaving early, there's constantly some brain fog. That's another big sign of people just need a little bit of attention. And sometimes it's just okay for to tell that person, it's okay to just take a day off. You look like you're really struggling today. Let's just get some rest, because if you're not rested, you're not able to think clearly. You're going to be groggy and sluggish all day, and you're not productive in that state. I know for myself, when I've not had enough sleep or if I'm hungry and then I start getting hangry, then it's just a slippery slope from there. I'm no good. I really am no good.
Yeah, I mean, Terry makes so many good points. You're looking for people to put in a peak performance. That means they've really got to be feeling good. And there are many things that contribute to people feeling good in the workplace. We could spend a lot of time on environmental stress, and we're going to do a show on that. But there are a lot of environmental stressors in the workplace, and we're talking about hybrid world of work because these things flow into the home as well. People can have environments that aren't really well suited to work. Their space they're working in may not be good. The temperatures may not be good. There may be a lot of noise. These are all forms of environmental stress. Different toxic behaviors in the workplace are environmental stress. So there are a lot of things that go on that create stress. And we're going to talk about in one of the episodes stress itself. Stress manifests itself in a lot of very negative ways in people. People should be trained on how to manage stress in the workplace because people could do a lot to manage and help deal with stress. There's always a certain amount of stress, and some stress is good because it helps people outperform for short periods of time, for bursts of energy and other things that go on because they got to tackle a challenge. So you don't want a stress-free environment. We're not talking about that. You want people to be challenged and do things. And this is very, very, very important because you want really everybody putting in a peak performance. And there are a lot of environmental factors that contribute to that.
Yes. You want to create that environment where people are a pleasure to be around, where you have people that are just contagious with their excitement and enthusiasm. You want upbeat environments. You don't want to be in a work environment where nobody wants to be there. They're tired, they're overworked, overstressed, they have too many demands. You want to make sure that people are comfortable in their workspace so they're not in this state of stress, but their physical comfort matters as well. So, do they have the right chair? Do they have the right desk? Do they need a standing desk? Um,
Mhm.
do they need a different mouse? So I'm one of those people that, because I've been in IT for so long, using the mouse has really done a beating on my wrist. And so I have to have an ergonomic mouse, an ergonomic keyboard. Those are all things that help people feel comfortable at work so that they're not worn out from their physical environment by the end of the day.
Yes, it is so important that people get to actually recharge during the day. Those periods of recharge are very, very important. Humans are not a machine where you've got a tank of gas and it takes a second to refill it and you're on the road again. They need to recharge. They need some real periods of rest. They should have breaks in their schedule to clear their mind. You want them operating at a peak level. So, brain fog sets in. And we're going to have an episode on how people who are really stressed out or exhausted make much worse decisions. And we'll look at some actual studies that have been done in this area. And we have one episode devoted to that. So this series on the impact of wellness on the human performance and the productivity of the workforce and the workplace makes just a huge impact. And I think you're going to find it very interesting. So we've got a lot to cover.
Yes, there's a lot in this. And a lot of times in the workplace, for years, leaders have thought, what's going on with that individual person doesn't matter. And there's kind of been this separation where you show up to work almost like a robot. You show up to work, you check in, you do your work, and you leave everything that's going on at home or with your children, your spouse, or, anything that's going on with you. You're expected to leave that outside of work and come in and do your work. And humans are just not wired that way. So if something is going on with me in my personal life, it's going to spill over into my work and professional life. I'll do my best to try to keep it separate, but there are times when there's an overlap, when there's just something that's going on that's high stress that has me really, really stressed out. And so it impacts my mental capacity. And so I'm focused on that thing that's important. If it's my spouse or my children or something with me, I'm focused on that and less focused on work. And that's just the nature of being human. It happens to all of
Mhm.
us. There's going to be a time where people are just not as focused on work as they could be because there's something else going on. And as a leader, you have to be sensitive to that because remember, this human infrastructure doesn't come with a manual, so to speak, and you don't get to just plug the
Unless you listen to our show.
yeah, you don't just get to plug that person in and they go and do whatever it is they need to do and then walk away. It's just not that simple. But the tools that we're sharing are really ways to give you that user manual to say, be alert, be attentive, pay attention to your people, and don't just expect them if they're going through something that's life changing. Don't expect them to just show up every day and forget about what's going on in their personal life. That's just not realistic.
No, it's not. I mean, it's super important. You've got to be aware of kind of the normal state, the well-being state of your people, and you got to be able to see when they're not in that state, and you should inquire and find out why. Could be
Yes.
something in the workplace, could be something going on in the personal life. Whatever it is impacting their performance. So you should get involved, and if they need to take time off, decompress, maybe they need to change their work habits a little bit. Maybe they should really be building in recharge time into their calendar. It's very important. They should actually know how to recharge. For some people, it's getting up, walking around. They could do some desk exercise, some stretching.
Mhm.
There are all sorts of things that really aid well-being and wellness in the workplace. And you want to make sure that as a leader, you're aware these things are important. You're emphasizing it's important. You're showing you care about the total human that's working for you, the total person, because in fact, people are much more than their jobs and their work, right? They've got a whole life. They've got all of the health and wellness that they've got to address and take care of. And you got to make sure that's happening because people are the most important tool. They want to perform, and you want them to really be in a position to deliver a peak performance because that's what this all comes down to at the end of the day.
Yes. And trust me, people, leaders that are sensitive to people and are flexible, that will work with them, people don't forget that. Um, they will absolutely go 120% above and beyond what they need to do when they have a leader like that. I can speak for myself. There have been times when my children were younger where I needed to work from home or I needed to work. There was a period in my life where I worked 4 10-hour days. And it was all because I had managers that understood. I had twin sons that were infants, and it's difficult to go back to work, but I needed to go back to work. So they worked with me and they allowed me to change my schedule. They allowed me to change my hours. It was just all about being considerate of me as an employee. So as a result, I gave more than what I was required of me, what anybody ever asked of me. I always gave more because people cared about me. So then I, in turn, started to care about what they cared about. And that's just the way we're wired. When you care about people and you show them that you care, not just saying it, it has to be something that they can see that shows they really do care about me. And it's that feeling. We've talked about this sense of
Mhm.
belonging before, but it's that sensing that this person is being genuine with what they're saying and what they're doing. They're not
Mhm.
just saying it just to be saying it, but they really do care. And once that person makes that connection and they start feeling like they belong there and that people care about them, their productivity goes through the roof because they'll give out of those extra reserves that we all have.
Mhm. Leaders have to lead with warmth and caring. There is no question about it. The research is incredibly clear on this. And whoever you've worked for over time, no one really cares about the fact that the leader's competent until they know they care about them as a
That's
person. And that is just more important than ever. And this is an important part of well-being, actually, is that other
yes.
people around you care about you as a person, care about your success. You feel that support coming from the group. Humans are social animals. They're the strongest sensor in every company. They pick up on all this. And this is all contributing to their feeling of well being and how they're going to perform in the workplace. Every little bit of this matters. So, the impact of wellness on performance is an important topic because we get to the root of creating a peak performance. You can't get one without this. It's not what they know, it's their whole state of mind, their mental well being, the ability to be creative, to think clearly, the lack of a brain fog, that motivation and that drive that we've talked about on the show. All of these things really have to come to the forefront. And you've got to make sure that people understand you care about their well being, their wellness. And that contributes to their performance. And like Terry said, this is all reciprocal. What goes around comes around. They're going to compare about you, your company, and the success of the company overall because you care about them. It really
Yes.
is true.
And we've talked about the connections to innovation, but this is another one. Wellness absolutely connects to innovation because you can't be creative if you're worn out, if you're overworked, if you don't have enough time to just relax and decompress. You need that, especially in the workplace that we're in today's world. It's very high stress, a lot of moving parts. And so you need time to relax so that you can get into that creative state of mind. In order to innovate, in order to move things faster, further, you've got to be able to relax and really rejuvenate yourself, spend time on yourself. We hear a lot about self care, but this is so important. These things really do matter. They really make you a better person and a better individual. And that's really what this is about. You can't necessarily just go buy culture off the shelf. Culture is the people. So you've got to improve the people if you want to improve the culture. You've got to really spend time with growing people and helping them to become their best in order to get the best culture.
Mhm. So, listen, next week we're going to start going into the impact of the whole workplace experience on wellness and how all of it is adding up to contribute to this human performance equation. and it really, really is important. So each week we're going to cover a topic. Stick with us. You'll see this series unfold. You're going to learn an awful lot, and it'll give you a whole model to really think about this. And as a leader, understanding all these different facets of the human experience at work, of different wellness factors and how they're contributing to the performance of your staff, it's so important for you to understand this and make sure it's a priority.
Yes, absolutely. Marcelo, will you give us the key takeaways?
The key takeaways, yes.
The key takeaways. I always feel like there should be a song for that. The key takeaways. But so we've been talking about this well-being, how it impacts human performance, and there's so many aspects of this. And as Frank said before, we're going to do a whole series on this, so we'll dig deep into this topic. But I love this quote from Paradise Lost: "The mind is its own place, and in itself can make a heaven of hell, a hell of heaven." And that is so very true. Our minds
Yeah.
have the ability to keep us going when we want to give up, or allow us to quit when we really do need to keep going. So, well being is really closely tied to that clear, unfogged thinking, this energetic mood and stress reduction, fewer sick days. We talked about people just being at their optimal peak when they are well. So when you have people that are not well, you see all of the exact opposites, where people are just struggling to come to work every day and struggling to be productive when they're there. So you want individuals to feel well and relaxed because they're better able to focus on their work. They come to work with a much more pleasant attitude. We've been around people that are just sucking the life out of the room because they're having a rough day at home, or, their children are causing issues, or they're having some kind of physical problem in their body, and they just become the monster in the room. We've all been around that, but people are much more pleasant to work with when they are
Oh, yeah.
well. That enthusiasm is contagious. It's
Mood overall is contagious, period, all of it, upwards or downwards.
Yes, yes, absolutely. So when you get people, like Frank said, that downward spiral mood, then it brings down the mood in the whole room. It just sucks
Yep.
the life right out. Workplaces that are ergonomically designed for and around people are more likely to be comfortable, flexible, and support productivity over time. So I talked about this a little bit about needing a special mouse or a special keyboard, but those are things that really matter. So
Mhm.
if I'm working and I don't have what I need, at the end of the day, my wrists hurt, my hands hurt. And so now the next day, I'm not going to be able to be productive because I'm distracted by the pain. So keep that in mind, that because we're in offices where we're sitting a lot, or if you're in places where you're standing a lot,
Mhm.
there are different mats you can get for people to help with fatigue in their legs. Just if you're sitting a lot, allowing people the time to take those little breaks throughout the day to stand and stretch, get a
Get
little
blood
bit
flow
of
going.
movement in. Yes, absolutely. You can tell when you've been sitting too long, your legs and your hips, your back, all of that starts to hurt, and that impacts your work. If you're in pain, you're not thinking about the work, you're thinking about the pain. So, as a leader, pay attention to your people and encourage them to take breaks, encourage them to go out and take walks, or just stand, or get some of those standing desks, and encourage people to take meetings standing as opposed to sitting.
Oh, yeah, and remember, it's a hybrid world of work. Their home work environment is exactly and equally important to what they do in the workplace. So they may
Yes,
need special equipment in their home to make
yes,
them highly productive.
yes, absolutely. Don't skimp on that, because in the long run, you're going to pay with health benefits because they're
Yeah.
having to go to the doctor more. They're taking more sick days because they're not well. So you might as well spend the money on the preventive side versus on the maintenance side after someone is injured or they have some serious illness.
Oh, yeah. These are 110% busy. People are running around, they're in meetings, it's meeting madness. They're under a lot of stress, but they're only 50 to 60% productive because they don't manage human performance. They
Yeah.
just manage workflow and demand and try to get stuff done, squeeze more out of people. the promise of technology is to make work easier and more productive as a result.
Yes. So wellness matters. This is the big idea here. And hopefully we've driven that home for you. But when your mind is not well, your body is not well. So take time, listen to your body, get to know what your body is saying to you so that you know what you need as an individual. Not everyone is alike. So we all have different needs. But pay attention to your body, your mind, your mood, your energy. All of that matters in the workplace. So that's your move. Examine your mind. Is it well? And if it's not, find ways and actively look to get into a well state so that you're a much more productive person at work.
Yeah, and join us over the next few weeks. We'll probably be doing this for the next 6 or 7 weeks, and next week we're going to be looking at the impact of that, the employee experience in the workplace, how that impacts wellness and ultimately human performance. This series matters. It is very important. We're going to dig into each one of these topics. So we look forward to seeing you at the next one. And thank you for joining us on
Yes.
creating cultures that outperform.
Yes. Thank you. Bye for now.
Bye for now. Take care.